Ooh, hey, everyone! It is a warm, steamy night tonight, but that's not going to stop us from doing our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and worst tracks of the week. Of course, this episode, like many previous ones, has been sponsored by the good people over at SeatGeek. If you did not know, SeatGeek is an app that aggregates ticket prices from around the web to make ticket buying simple. They put a 1 to 100 score on whatever ticket you're going to be buying to let you know if you're getting a good deal or a bad one. Green is good, red is bad, and their in-app view from Seat lets you see where you're going to sit. Enter code DROP to get $20 off your first order. Click the link in the description below to download the app and get more information. SeatGeek. All right, and also our Amazon and Turntable Lab Associate links are down there if you want to use that Turntable Lab Associate link to buy some audio equipment, buy some turntable stuff, buy some colorful pressings of records that we have reviewed on the channel. Then you can get, just a nice present for yourself or for a loved one, and we get kickback from it. So there you go. Now you know. And let's get into the worst tracks. The worst tracks of the week, the songs I didn't care too much for. But before I get into this, that new Tyler and Rocky song dropped recently, and now it's disappeared. And I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I thought it was really good, and it's probably still floating around the internet now. But again, I don't know what's up with that. It's kind of concerning, I guess. But I'm sure it's around somewhere, and I'm just having a hard time finding it. But still, though, let's get into the tracks I didn't care for too much. First, let's start off with Vic Mensa, who's already kind of having a hard time this week. He's been beefing with 6ix9ine and calling out DJ Academics, and I get there's kind of previous history there, and they don't like each other, and I think Vic is well within his right to kind of say whatever he wants to say on his platform. I think he makes a lot of good points, and I think he's a person who wants better for hip hop, wants better for American culture. But maybe he doesn't quite realize that standing on your soapbox isn't going to get us there. In a way, I think 6ix9ine slightly embarrassed him this week by taking part in an interview where he literally asked people in a radio station who probably should know this, hey, can you name a Vic Mensa song? And nobody in the room could name one. Again, sad, unfortunate, but he's also come out with this new track over here. Apparently Vic's, and I didn't know this, his father is from Ghana, and he said, talking about this song, he's always wanted to kind of take his music there. And this new track, Metaphysical, while I do kind of like the modern Afrobeat production on this thing, the beat is actually pretty wild. Vic's auto-tuned riffing all over the song didn't really do all that much for me. I get that maybe vocally going in this musical direction would have called for it, but I don't really know if this style of music is really Vic's strong point. But hey, maybe he'll continue down this road and drop more interesting stuff in the future in this vein. And if he does, then that'll certainly be cool. Moving on from there, new Chainsmokers track that sounds like absolute trash. It's just generic dance pop with lackluster production. Moving on from there. Oh, and also, I don't know, a dime a dozen vocalist. Oh, Logic, One Day. This new single over here, the rapper advertised on his Twitter account saying, this one is for people who have a dream. And, Logic, he can write some pretty nice inspirational songs here and there. But this new cut over here essentially sounds like he's on his Eminem shit, and not even like good hardcore old school Eminem, which was just funny and goofy and off the wall and charismatic and over the top. This is more like late era, get a really cleaned, groomed up singer on the hook and just have it sound as radio friendly as possible. Eminem. It's kind of tragic, unfortunately. Usually Logic songs have a bit more appeal than this, but this just sounds too soulless to really be appealing to anybody who's not listening to music just on the surface level. Moving on from there, this new Idols single, miraculously, I am not that into at all, despite the fact that I love the band's last record, have been a fan of a couple of the singles so far. But this new track over here just... I could see what they were trying to do with it lyrically and conceptually, but just the production on this thing, the washed out, kind of bleeding guitar distortion and tone on this thing is just really, really horrendous and doesn't do their thoughtful, their muscular, and their explosive style any justice, in my bless me, in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm still looking forward to the new record. Still looking to see where things pan out on the new album. But they're still a relatively fresh band, and in this situation, everything is subject to change. You know, like you can't expect a band with not that much of a discography to sort of stick to a certain sound, and they're going to jump around. It's to be expected, I guess. Moving on from there, this new DJ Khaled song. I feel like since DJ Khaled sort of hit it big on Snapchat and has kind of renewed his musical career, I feel like his biggest singles are all kind of reaching a point where it's just a painfully obvious and tacky formula, and No Brainer is the most obvious of all of them. Super obnoxious track, totally unnecessary, and I feel like he's done this song before, and he's just kind of making novelty pop rap at this point. It's like there's no point. Let's get into the tracks that I thought were meh. Not terrible, not amazing, but certainly worth pointing to your attention. First, this new YG song featuring A$AP Rocky, Handgun. It's okay. I'm just not really sure what the appeal of the song is. I mean, the weird, kind of barking mouth noises on the hook is cool, but the flow is so stripped back. The beat is so stripped back. It's not the most lyrical song either of them have been on. I just don't know. I really just don't know. You know, YG, he used to hop on funkier production. He used to have catchier flows, better hooks, used to go into a song with a topic, an idea, of something. And now it just seems like he's simplifying himself to the point where, I don't know, he's just another generic trap rapper, which before it sort of seemed like he was trying to define himself outside of that lane, and he had done it successfully. He totally had his own sound, and he didn't need to try to chase after anybody else's sound to prove himself or prove that he could make it or prove that he had talent. And now it seems like he's just going the exact opposite direction. Like, he started, sure, while he wasn't the most technically sound or thoughtful rapper on the block, he had a sound, he had a style, he was pretty distinct, and now it seems like he's just trying to fade into the crowd, and I really don't know why. I mean, maybe he thinks that he'll move more albums, get more streams this way, and maybe he will. You know, if he does, I wish him all the luck in the world, but I'm not really wowed by it. But new album coming out next week. I suppose I'll reserve full judgment until I hear the entire record. Moving on from there, Thou has put out a new Crowbar cover of the song The Last Dose. Of course, it is done in their typically distorted, harsh, apocalyptic sludge metalcore style. It's not too bad. Santigold has a new track out titled Run the Road off of a brand new mixtape that dropped this past Friday. It is a very raw, poppy, synth-centric take on dancehall. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It's not too glitzy or overly done with the hooks or anything. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty funky. It's pretty chill. Like her vocals, the production again. It's pretty organic. So I don't know if I'll end up covering the whole thing or not. I haven't completely decided yet, but definitely want to make you guys aware that there is a new Santigold mixtape out, and it's not too bad. You know, it's not too bad. A lot of the songs are pretty samey and everything. Not a whole lot of variation across the track list, but it is a nice vibe. It is a fun listen, and I do think she is one of the unsung heroes of the indie scene. Unfortunately, I don't think her career took off as much as it should have. But that's my opinion. Next, Metric with Dress to Suppress. You guys might remember that. I think it was last week or the week before. I loved the last Metric single, which sounded like almost like they were trying to take the the Yeah Yeah Yeahs original sound into a slightly different direction. Wasn't bad. I thought it was a good song. I thought it was a good vibe. I thought it was good production, good aesthetic. This new track over here, not quite as dark or edgy, though still some pretty moody and atmospheric and propulsive rock music. I don't think the tune is quite as sharp as the last single, but still not a bad track. And I think better than a lot of the stuff they've dropped in the past. I mean, honestly, I've never really been that big of a Metric fan, so it's actually kind of refreshing to hear them dropping some stuff that's actually grabbing my attention. And next, Mac Miller with What's the Use? Mac drops a new single that is sort of in a moody, low-down synth, funk, pop vein. And, of course, the singing is incredibly weak. The tune is okay, but hey, the beat is pretty solid. If you're an artist like Dame Funk or something like that, you'll probably appreciate the instrumental here a lot. But I don't know, just not that into the tune. Though it is not quite as underwhelming or, I guess, leaving me high and dry as some of the stuff from his last sung album. So I'll say that much. Moving on from there, DJ Durel and Migos come together with quite possibly one of the most generic Migos songs in a long time. Actually, I don't know, not in a long time. I guess they just dropped an entire album of generic songs like not too long ago. So yeah, it's okay. It just kind of sounds like a Migos song. It's not terrible. It's listenable. Let's see if it's hot this summer, I guess. And Dame Funk, I guess, has a new EP coming out soon and has dropped this new song over here titled In the City, which sort of sounds like, I don't know, a super pristine, perfect computer-run future where we live in a utopia or something. It's not quite as nocturnal or funky as Dame's usual stuff. I can't say it blew me away either. It sort of sounded like something that the Vaporwave community would totally get off on. So if you want to hear this one-of-a-kind artist try to create something in that vein, I mean, go for it. Give it a shot. It's one of many tracks we have linked down there in the description box. Remember, all the songs we talk about in the weekly track roundup, we link them down there. All right, and let's get into the tracks I thought were the best this week, the tracks that really wowed me. Where are we going? Ooh, this new Smokepurpp and Lil Pump track, Nephew. It's a banger. I kind of love the flows that Purpp and Pump approach this track with. Not quite as over the top as previous stuff. It's kind of, I don't know, it's got this weirdly awkward, intimate sort of vibe to it that I think is pretty cool. Yeah, it's just kind of a different angle for them, and I think it's fun. It's kind of nice to hear Purpp dropping more solid singles as of late because I think some of his material since Dead Stars has been kind of lackluster. Next, Pond. This is the first song from Pond in a while that has really kind of grabbed my attention, blew me away. Their last full-length record just kind of felt like a very weak and uninteresting venture into the whole hypnagogic pop feel that sort of sounded just like a bad Ariel Pink impression. And while some elements of that genre remain on this new single over here, also elements of progressive rock and progressive electronic and synth music too. And this track is 8 minutes long, so it's like a multifaceted monster. Again, did not expect the band to go in this direction at all, but it is a really compelling and epic fusion of synth and psych and prog and nostalgia too. It's insane, but also has some experimental elements as well that kind of keeps it contemporary. So kudos to Pond. Didn't know they could pull this sort of thing off, but they did. Next, feeling this new song from, I believe it's pronounced Nigil, Caenaan. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but a new record via Ghostly International. This new song, January's End, kind of struck me as, I don't know, kind of Radiohead influence. Like this could easily have been a tinkered instrumental that maybe a Tom York could have pulled together, or might have been on King of Limbs or something. But it's way more, I guess I'll say, nuanced and has a more interesting progression and everything. It's a very quaint instrumental, but there's like an eerie kind of stillness and beauty to it too. as well. It's not very grimy or distorted, or it doesn't feel very organic either. It's very calculated and feels very pristine in a somewhat, I guess, alien or kind of futuristic way. Again, January's End is the title of the song, and it's a pretty little composition. Moving on from there. Next, shout out to Brainfeeder Records, who have a project on the way. This person named it Dorian Concept, Jay Byers. If you're into the Brainfeeder sound, but kind of want to hear it pushed in a little more forward and with some dense and insane production, do not miss out on this track. And Charli XCX has a new single out titled "Girls Night Out," which is in her usual wheelhouse. I feel like Charli is at a point where she has established her new sound. She's sticking with it. And there are some tracks recently where the lyrics or the production, not quite as eccentric, but she kind of holds to that whole electropop genre. However, this track is a moment where I think she gets a little bit sassier, a little bit weirder, a little bit stranger. Obviously, with the title of the song, it's all about a girl's night out. No boys, no boys. The beat is in her, typical PC music style as of late. The vocals are, again, a little bit more playful and sassy than they would have been on her past few singles. And it's just got a kind of, I guess, a playful, topic and everything. I love the personality. I love the charisma. And I kind of love the I guess, pro-woman message of the song. I don't know, the female solidarity, I guess, if you can kind of interpret it as that. Next, Brockhampton, Don't Be Famous. If you're aware, or if you're not aware, I want to make you aware that Brockhampton recently, I guess in preparation for the new album and everything, they have a Beats One show. And on the show, they play tracks they like, but they also play like deep cuts and obscurities and unreleased stuff too. And this song over here, Don't Be Famous, is a total banger. Amazing kickoff on the song from Merlin, who absolutely kills it on the track. The beat is crazy. Rumors that I've been reading say that this could have been like from a scrap project, won't necessarily be on the new album and everything. And also want to shout out the 1997 Diana track that dropped recently, the shortest and most hard-hitting track of this new round of singles. Pretty much everyone on the song kills it. Insane beat. Matt is especially surprising on the new song. I think it's one of his best verses and performances yet. And I'm going to leave it at that, I think. Oh, wait, we have one more. Who are we shouting out here? Oh. How could I forget that? How could I forget this? I'm talking here about, this will be the last song. This is a new Blood Orange track that I wanted to shout out, Charcoal Baby. If you guys have been following my reviews for a while, you know that I've never really been a huge Blood Orange fan. Like, I've always felt like there was something missing in Blood Orange's music, or like the creation of it was purely for just aesthetic and lyrically and conceptually and everything. It just felt very hollow, and there wasn't really much to it beyond sounding like kind of super shiny, nostalgic synth pop with kind of an R&B twist to it. But now this new song over here, again, Charcoal Baby, is an amazing like fusion of synth funk and soul, and the topic of the song too. It's an epic, man. It's an epic, and the vocals are gorgeous. Like, I've never thought the vocals on Blood Orange's music have been quite as beautiful as they've been on this cut over here. And this has actually got me legitimately excited to the point where I feel like this could really be Blood Orange's year. I mean, I know that there are a lot of mainstream artists out there that fuck heavy with Blood Orange and work with him on music and that sort of thing, but I feel like this could be a project that really kind of launches his career a little bit, more as a solo artist, and gives him a lot more visibility, because this song is spectacular. And if you can follow up this track with songs that are equally emotional but are a bit more punchy and direct, and will hook in people who are a little more clueless and just kind of perusing the mainstream music landscape, this album could be a winner. A winner chicken dinner. And I'm going to leave it at that now that I've made a total ass of myself and I've gone full cringe. that has been the weekly track roundup, everybody. Hopefully you got some good recommendations out of this thing. All the tracks we talked about are linked down there in the description below, again, with our Amazon and Turntable Lab associate links. And also, again, shout out to the good people over at SeatGeek, whose app is linked down there below in the description box. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cool? Cool. Anthony Fantano, forever